In this video, I'll walk through exercise 615 in the first day of the intermediate level AutoCAD class at the Shipyard Night School. This is kind of a refresher exercise that covers most or everything. Hopefully, we covered in the introductory classes. From creating layers to loading line types, creating a dimension style. Once we finish these two views of this cork looking object, we'll get into new material in the level 2 class, namely layouts and viewports. And you will develop a half section view, kind of a introduction to 3D work, and have a viewport showing the front, right side, and the half section view. We'll also make a viewport out of a closed polyline, zigzagging around, just to demonstrate that you can make a viewport out of a closed polyline, circle, I believe ellipse. So let's get started. Go back here to page 1-1 of your handout. I'll start a brand new start from scratch drawing using the default template. Turn off the window screen. Adjust the bottom here. Turn off these that I won't need. Set the 5 running object snaps. I still haven't found a use for extension. Got the 5 set. Got hose snaps turned on. Got polar tracking set for 90 or 40. Got dynamic input on. Minimize the window a bit here. Reduce it, I should say. Now, since some of this will be redundant and unnecessary, I'm going to build the layers to thoroughly show how this refresher exam here. We'll just keep the drawing number 1 for now. We'll go into the layers property dialog box to build the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. All drawings have layer 0. We might use that for construction lines, might totally ignore it. Let's start layer property manager. LA is the type in. And we'll build a bunch of layers and rename them starting from the top to bottom. This one will be center. Contract says make it color red. Click in the column for the red. We don't have anything but continuous line type loaded on a brand new start from scratch drawing. Click on the continuous line type, hoping that center will be on the menu. And you'll see that from a start from scratch drawing is only got continuous. Your system administrator will likely load the line types you'll use into the default template for your office, but I'm teaching from off-the-shelf AutoCAD. To get more line types available to assign to layers, I'll click load. And we will at least want to use center. And I can't remember if I did this the old way or the new way with center marks. We'll just load center. I used to have layers of the other 2 center flavors, center 2 and center X2, but I doubt that's being used in industry. While we're in here, I see we got some hidden lines in cyan. They don't show up well on this PDF. So I'll scroll down, hold the control key on your keyboard, lower left corner, and select hidden. Release the control key. So I got both center and hidden selected to add to the menu. I'll click OK. Built the menu, but I still haven't selected a line type to assign to the new layer named center with color red. Before I OK out of this select line type dialog box, I'll select center so that when I click OK, the line type for the center named layer will change from continuous to center. Click OK. There, it changed to center. What's the line weight? How fat the line is. That should be default, so we'll leave it at default. Widen that column a hair. Okay, I'll select another layer, rename it. Dimensions, magenta, continuous default. We'll go dimensions. Some might call it, shorten it to dims. We'll click on the word white and change it to magenta, one of the basic colors. We'll leave it at continuous. We'll leave the line weight at default. Let's go to another layer, right click and pick rename layer. We want a hidden layer in cyan and hidden line type. So we'll rename this layer hidden. We'll change the color from white to cyan. And we'll leave the, oh, no, we got to change the line type to hidden. So now that we populated the line type menu, it's easy to pick hidden off the menu and click OK, and that'll assign the line type hidden to the layer named hidden. Default line weight for the hidden line type. We need to create an object layer in green, continuous, and bold line, or heavy line weight, 0.5 millimeter. Where was I? I'll select a layer, right click, pick rename layer. We'll change the name of this layer to object. Change the color from white to green. And we'll leave the line type continuous. We'll change the line weight to 0.5 millimeter, the boldest, heaviest lines in the drawing. Let's see, we'll need hatching yet, in color 40, continuous line type and default. I'll select another layer, right click, pick rename, and type hatching. Eventually we'll get to hatching on the page 1-2 of the handout. Contract says color number 40. We'll click on the sample or the word for the color and keystroke it into color 40 down here rather than finding color 40 up here in the matrix. Click OK. Leave hatching line type continuous. Leave the line weight default. And let's see, we need viewports or Vports. I'll select a unnamed layer. Click rename. Rename it to be viewports. Some drawings say viewports. We don't want this layer to print. Okay, it doesn't show in the chart here, but someplace set the viewports layer to no plot. So we click on this little printer icon to put a kind of almost a circle slash icon across it. We want the viewports to very, very faintly show on the screen. So I suggest yellow. I've also seen faint shades of gray in professional drawings. Leave it continuous, leave it default. I think that's all of them. Center, dimensions, hidden, object, hatching, viewports. Only the object layer has got a heavy line weight. Center and hidden layers have the respective line type assigned. Okay. Now, what's left, we need to assign a layer to be current. Well, probably, I always start in the center and work outwards. With the exception of this hidden line here, we'll get well underway with green solid object lines. So let's select solid line and click on this green check mark icon. Double clicking on it also changes it to be the current layer. But since double clicking is kind of sensitive, time sensitive, I'll click on the green anyway. Object layer is now the current layer. There it shows object. There it shows object in the drop down list, which is shortened because I'm not using full screen for AutoCAD now. We'll click close the line type, close the layer property dialog box. For good measure, I'll go back to it, and you see they're now in alphabetical order. Layers 6 and 7 are unnecessary. We can delete them just for demonstration's sake. I'll select them one at a time and click the delete icon. Once you've got an object on a layer, you can't delete it. You got to empty the layer, erase everything on it. So we're getting back here. We got the layers in alphabetical order, colors, line types, and one change in line weight to the 0.5 millimeter. Double check object is current. We'll close that. Let me zoom in on this bull's BB target here. Control. There we go. Let's start with this 1.5 unit diameter circle. So get AutoCAD active. Oh, I'm in the 3D modeling workspace. Well, at this point, I don't believe I've shown students the 3D modeling workspace in level 2. So let's toggle back to the introductory workspace, namely drafting and annotation. I've never used 3D basics. It's either drafting and annotation or 3D modeling in these night school classes. Still on drawing 1. We'll click circle center diameter icon. Pick a random point. Rubber band the cursor out. It's asking for diameter. I'll type 1.5 and hit enter. Okay, the next one is that hidden line. Okay, that is these two lines, a diameter of 2. Is this cyan hidden line here. So we'll go back to circle center diameter, hover, O snap at the center, and type 2, enter. This does not look right. Okay, something went terribly wrong. While it's selected, I'll hit the erase icon. We'll try that again. Circle center diameter, O snap. Diameter is 2, enter. All right. I guess it was the first circle that I did. I ought to start over, but I'm too lazy. Let's launch the list command, LI, and we found 2. So I got 2 circles on top of each other whose diameter is 2 units. So I'll erase 1. I'll hit the E key for erase, another way to erase a selected object. Zoom back out. Now we got to draw the 1.5 diameter circle that somehow I messed up on. Hover, O snap, 1.5, enter. Okay, that's looking good. Let's move this one to the, by the way, to get the properties up, with one item selected, no command is active, says type of command. With one object selected, right click and pick properties at the bottom of the cursor menu. And my opinion is once you got properties up, leave it up. You know, if you need the real estate on your monitor, there's a way you can click this auto hide icon here, and it'll fade in and out as you tap on the edge of your screen here. My monitor's playing big. I'll leave it open. Where was I? Change the layer to hidden. Hopefully that shows. It's pretty faint. Okay, go back to the object circles. The next one out is 2.5 diameter. Click on circle center diameter icon. Hover on either one of these circles to find the center and type 2.5. Now the 3.5 circle there. Click circle center diameter. Hover, snap on the center. And 3.5. And the biggest circle in this BB target is 4.5. So we'll click circle center diameter icon again. I keep sliding off it too fast. Okay, we'll go 4.5. So far, so good. Now, to get this sniper scope red mark here, let's set current the center layer from this drop-down list on the layers panel. We'll go to the annotate tab of the drafting and annotation ribbon. And this new icon here, center mark, is easier than my old way of drawing a line across a circle, scale by 1.3 and all that stuff. We'll just click the center mark, click the largest circle. There's a sniper scope pattern. The whiskers are a little short in my opinion, and I don't like seeing these blank spaces outside of the center cross here. So I will select this guy, hit escape, select this guy, change the line type from center 2 that it came in as. It automatically loaded center 2. I did not load center 2. It came in with the center mark. I'll change it to continuous, and that'll get rid of those little gaps here outside of the cross. Hit escape to deselect. Probably could have left it selected. Now to get the whiskers longer, I'll select the center mark, rest my cursor on the center grip, and gently slide out and click change extension length. I'll drag it out so it looks typical, the 15% of the diameter that I like to use. I'm comparing to the handout. A little short. I believe that looks good. Hit escape to deselect. Notice it changed all of these left, right, top, and bottom extensions. Excuse me, to 0.5628, which I kind of eyeballed at about the same amount as the distance between these two outer circles. Maybe a hair longer. So we finished with the front view, except for dimensioning, which we'll get later. Now we need to develop the right side view. Since we got all these diameters here, let's take advantage of them and draw a bunch of guidelines to the right and leverage the front view to develop the right side view. So I'll toggle over to layer 0, which generally speaking, nothing should be on layer 0 with the possible exception of the title block and border, because layer 0 has got magic properties when it comes to building blocks, which is your AutoCAD's repetitive symbols. So on this unused layer, actually, I should have left layer 1 or 2 open and maybe named them construction. But we're on layer 0. Let's click line. I'll snap at the quadrant. I'll make it plenty long enough. Can't be too long. Enter to finish, and now I'll copy this line from its endpoint and machine gun all down the quadrants. I could mirror them now, but since I'm got copy going, I'll just keep going. So I got all these guidelines. I'll toggle back to object. I'll draw a line trying to match the handout. Looks like twice the radius of the circle. So we'll start about twice the radius of the circle out from the front view, come down to intersection, and I'll trim that off. There's our datum line, or if you will, from which we'll copy or offset other vertical lines. We could use offset. Copy is just as good for the horizontal and vertical. So let's go to copy, select the initial vertical line, hit enter, pick a point, and for the second point of the copying vector, we'll type 0.5 and make a copy half a unit to the left. We're still in the copy command. It's an advantage over offset. The next one we'll type 1.5, place a copy 1.5 unit to the left. And while we're still copying, I'll type 3, enter, to put a line approximately there. 3, enter. So far, so good. Started with one vertical line and copied into 1, 2, 3. Hit enter to finish the copy command, and then get back to type a command. Now then, we need to connect the dots, the intersections of the green lines and the black lines, to form the top half of this corkish object. We'll move lines to the hidden layer. Once we get the top half, it's quickly, you can mirror it to form the bottom half. I think we can continue with the line command. That's a solid line there. And start the line icon again. We'll start there and go to there. Is that right? Yes, then come down to the center line. That is the hitting tab will get toggle. There we go. That's the intersection. It was homing in on the midpoint of the vertical line. So I hit just to ensure it wasn't the midpoint of the black guideline. I hit tab until it homed in on the intersection of the green and the black. Hit enter to finish. We're done with this line now. Since we'll copy the top. And we'll toggle to the hidden layer. Draw a line. That intersection. There, up, and over. Enter. We also need to draw the center line there. Line from endpoint straight down to the midpoint of the green line, which is also the intersection. I can erase this line. And we'll trim these two. Whoops. Trim, click, click. Enter to finish, erase, select them both. Now we've got top half of this corkish object. I'll launch the mirror icon. Select everything that's green and cyan. Enter. We're finished selecting what we want to mirror. We'll pick any 2 points along this middle line, including quadrants over here. We'll pick there and say there and hit enter to answer the question, no, I do not want to erase the original. Okay. Let's draw a red center line here. Okay, line, snap at the end point to the end point. Remember, that's 2 vertical lines. I forgot to change the current layer, so I'll select that hidden line and change it to the center layer. Now, I'm supposed to have a little whisker out here. I'll scale it by 1.3 from the midpoint. Scale icon. Select the center line, enter. Snap at the midpoint of the red line, which coincidentally is also the intersection of the cyan line. And type 1.3, enter. I think we can freeze or erase everything on the 0 layer now. Placed it a little bit far away. We can adjust that later. I'll freeze all the black lines. You could come up here and freeze it, probably easier for tutorial. Click it, 0 layer there. You can't freeze the current layer. But the current layer is right now is hidden. There. Let's nudge these a little closer together. Trying to match the handout. Pretty darn near. Okay, let's dimension these while we're at it here. The handout, control roll out here, center the PDF. Okay, it says here create a new text style for the dim style. I hope I remember to do that. I never changed LT scale from 1. Brand new drawing starts with LT scale of 1. LT scale is a bucket of steroid that you pour on your entire drawing, and all broken lines bulk up for longer gaps and longer ink lines. As necessary, I recommend going to line type scale modifier here in the properties for specific items. And just leave LT scale as 1. I assume that that's common in industry. All right, let's create a new text style for the sake of the dim style. We'll go up here in the annotation, click on the text style icon on the home tab. Standard selected, I'll click new. We'll name it, say, I don't know, EX615. With it selected, I'll click, I'll modify it. I'll change it to say, well, it looks like it's the same. I don't know, Dutch 801 RMBT. It's common in my exercises. We'll leave it Roman style instead of any of the others. And always leave the height 0. We'll change the width scale a little bit more narrow, say 0.8. And we'll just leave the oblique angle 0 to match the handout. This is not the Dutch 801 RMBT text style, but it doesn't say which, specifics to create that text style. So we've met the requirement. I'll click set current, click yes, click close. Set current the dimensions layer. And now all these diameter icons, I can quickly use this smart dimensioning tool here. I used to teach all these, half a dozen, 4 or 5 off of this list here, but I'm trying to get used to this smart new icon. We'll select something. Oh, I forgot. Didn't I set it current? I forgot to alter the dim style. Yeah, I forgot to change the fit and the trailing zeros and all. Actually, I haven't even started a dimension style. We're still using standard dimension style. All right, we'll click dimension style. With standard dimension style selected, I'll click new. We'll name this, say, I don't know, EX615. Okay, starting with standard. Zoom out a hair. Starting with standard, center marks to none. Okay, we'll click continue. Center marks is on symbols and arrows. Change that to center marks to none on center symbols and arrow for the new dimension style EX615. On the text tab, let's change the text style used for this dim style to the new one we created, EX615. The overall scale of to 1.5, that's on the fit tab. Change the use overall scale of to 1.5. Suppress leading and trailing zeros. That's on primary units. Click here and there. Leading probably won't have any effect because there's no, it will. There's a dimension here, 0.5, so that'll suppress the 0 to the left of the decimal point. Where are we? Set linear precision to 0.00. Okay. Sometimes I leave it set to 4 or even higher and rely on the trailing zeros to be truncated. And it works until you got 3/8, 0.375. Anyway, following the handout, we'll set the precision to double zeros. Double checking, creative starting standard center marks to none, style of overscale or suppress leading trailings. Double check I set. Yep, overall scale is set. Okay, we got the dimension style created using the new text style we created. I'll click OK. I'll click set current, and I'll click close. This one I carelessly did while standard was still the current dimension style. It escaped to get out of the dimensioning process. I'll select that dimension and change the dim style of that dimension from standard to EX615. And you see the font is a little fancier than the handout. Handout might not have had that width factor in the text style. It meets the requirement. Click on the smart dimensioning icon. O-snap. Be careful not to O-snap on a object be careful not to click on an object snap. We don't want to go on that quadrant. So get out here in the open. And we're trying to match the handout. Believe that's good. We'll click the icon again. We'll select a green circle again. We'll slide out, place it as close as we can to the handout. There. Okay, when possible, you're not supposed to dimension two hidden lines. There's no way around it. We'll dimension that diameter over here later. Click the smart icon again. And the last one there. Do the linear icons here. Sometimes I've found it beneficial to turn off the O snaps. Let's see if that's necessary. Click the smart icon. O snap there and there. So far, so good. We'll come up a hair. The first one should have more white space to the object than the second and third ones outward from the drawing. Let's click the icon again. O snap there. There. Now check it out. That smart one doesn't know quite yet if I want to do a linear or an aligned dimension. This is aligned. If I move my cursor straight up, it understands I want to do a linear. Hit enter again. O snap again. Go vertical again. That white space bigger than these white spaces. We'll call it good enough. I'll hit escape to get out of the dimensioning process. I'll select this guy and grip edit this text a hair to the left. So a drop of coffee or nothing will smear it in with that extension line here. And there's our two views. Let's save our drawing. I'll just leave it named drawing one. You might say, okay, I already got a drawing one. I'll overwrite it, whatever that is. We've completed page 1-1. Okay, let's scroll down to 1-2. Before we make a viewport, let's add this full or half section view. Half section is if a quarter of the object has been cut out. Click activate AutoCAD. I'll copy all the green and cyan over to the right. Oh, I forgot a dimension. Okay, I'll get that in a second. We'll go to object line, click line, and add this object line back there. We'll delete these 1, 2, 3 lines. Remember that was a line here that was mirrored down. So, and we'll change these 3 hidden lines into a green object line. Just for demonstration's sake, I'll use the match properties icon this time. The governing or the source object that controls the properties is this green line. Now it asks for destination objects. I'll select these 3 to take the properties from the source and apply them to the destination objects. Hit enter or escape to bail out. Got to get rid of this guy. Trim it a couple of times. Trim. Okay, you need to put a little red whisker to hint to the mechanic or the machinist that this is a cylindrical object. I'll draw a short little line there. I'll move that short little line to the red center layer, and I'll move it hair out, and I'll mirror it at that midpoint of the green line there. Still need to crosshatch this. Let's set current the hatching layer. What's the requirement here? Add a half section using ANSI 38. I should, but can't remember what material ANSI 38 is. I guess magnesium or aluminum. Using ANSI 38 at a scale of 2. Okay, lines should be about 1/8 of an inch on the paper, but nobody will measure them. We'll go up here to the hatch icon on the home tab of the drafting and annotation workspace ribbon. Click in that area. Now we're still in the hatching process. Drop down these patterns until we see ANSI 38. I think this one will drop down. Yeah, this one will show many of them at the same time. ANSI 38. Angle 0. Okay, it doesn't say scale. But resting the cursor on that icon shows scale. Let's change this from a scale of 1 to 2, and that'll double the spacing of the lines in the hatch pattern. Okay. Believe that's as close as we can get. Hit escape. Save our drawing. You might save it to your EX615. All right, now the new material of this exercise. New command layouts and papers. Okay, let's create a layout that's got the 2 viewports in it. One, a simple rectangular one. We could modify the default viewport, and another one that's closed polyline that will grip edit to tighten up around the 3 views. Let's click on layout 1. Notice it came in landscape orientation, and because hatching was the current layer, the default viewport came in on the hatching layer. Interesting that it includes all this white space. Usually it does a zoom extents. So anyway, we'll before we do anything, let's change the page setup of the layout to be portrait orientation instead of landscape. We ought to rename the layout to say, I don't know, A size -P portrait, but one thing at a time. Let's right click on the layout 1 tab. Go to Page Setup Manager. That includes the orientation and what plotter printer we're aimed at. Scale it'll come out as, etc., etc. We'll modify the page setup for layout 1. Down here, we'll change the drawing orientation to portrait. We want to plot the layout. We want it to be 1-to-1. So what we see is what we get on the paper. We might change it to a PDF or a actual printer. I think for plot style, none is what you want. On some I used to change it to grayscale when all my copies were in black and white, but now that color copies are common, I'll leave the plot scale none. Click OK. Click close. And while I'm thinking of it, I'll right click again on the layout and rename it to say A size -P for portrait. Okay, click outside to conclude the naming, click again to close to finish this selection set. Back to type a command, I'll select that default viewport that came in and I'll change it to the viewports layer. We'll make it about the right size. While it's selected, I'll click the move icon and move it about as close to the handout position as I can. Okay, since the viewport is not going to plot out, it doesn't matter if I have the viewport outside of this dotted line. The dotted line shows the printable area. So I'll double click to activate this viewport. Notice we get back to the UCS icon again. The triangular icon in the corner disappears and the viewport's bold. I'll press the wheel on my mouse, center it, and it says here set the zoom scale to 1 to 2. Lock it. All right. The zoom scale is a property of the viewport. I can't get to it while my hands are within the viewport in model space here. So I'll double click outside, or I'll click on the word model and toggle it to paper. Usually double clicking inside or outside is the preferred way. I'll select the viewport, come over here to standard scale. Could type 0.5 and custom scale, but let's take advantage of the standard zoom scale of 1 to 2. Hit escape to deselect the viewport. Oh, I need to select it. I need to lock the viewport. Display locked of the one item selected, the viewport. Change the property of the displayed locked from no to yes. Now, it's hard to say how it's going to come out on the paper, on the PDF, that is. I'm going to nudge up. Looks like I got an interference there, or enlarge the viewport so we got a white space around it. While one item is selected, I'll click move and I'll nudge the viewport a hair to the right. Might nudge it a hair more let's call that good enough. Almost done. Bottom of the portrait orientation layout should have a second viewport created by converting a closed polyline. Exact same zoom scale and locked again. By the way, we could use the clip command to clip, copy it straight down and clip it. But the handout says, let's create another viewport. Since we're working on a layout, AutoCAD blued the layout tab, reminding you, hey, don't you want to go here? Yes, I want to go there to create another viewport. So toggle on it. And I want to select an object to convert to a viewport, but I forgot to draw the object. So back to home. Hello, still haven't made viewports current. There we go. Viewports current, I'll draw a polyline and I'll try to replicate polar tracking might bite me here. I can mimic the handout. Polar tracking is kind of getting in the way a bit. And we'll click close. There's our closed polyline. Double check, I'll select it. Yep, it's closed. It is a polyline. Hit escape. Go back to the layout tab, drop down this layout viewport creating flyout toolbar and say, hey, I want to change an object to a viewport. So click on the object icon, click on the closed polyline, and there's my, comes in as a roughly a zoom extents as much as it'll fit. Okay, let's select the viewport, change its standard scale to 1:2. Should we lock it? Yeah, I think we can lock it now. Now let's grip edit. Make it neatly wrap around our stuff. There's a little glitch. Okay, I could get it tighter around my object. Shouldn't take time on this tutorial, but I could move it as tight as, as nice and neat around. Now it's polite to line up views. So while we're still on the layout viewports layer, I'll draw a guideline from any point O-snap there. Notice you can O-snap through a viewport into your model space stuff. There's the line. I can't, it's impossible to pan to line up views perfectly. You gotta move the viewport. So I'll click move, I'll select that viewport, I'll hit enter, I'll O-snap through the viewport at that endpoint. So I'm moving the viewport with my sticky finger right there on the intersection of the green lines, and slide the viewport so it lines up with the yellow guideline I just drew. Now, since the yellow doesn't plot out, I don't have to erase that yellow vertical guideline. Oh, that's sloppy there. I'll grip edit the viewport a hair further out. I believe we have finished. Both viewports are on non-plotting viewports layer. I printed it on as orange on the handout, so it would show up in case I printed in black and white. Oh, I got a dimension I need to add here. Okay, I'll double click in this viewport. And I'll add that 2 diameter between the hidden lines. Also notice that the blank spaces is much too coarse here. Okay, now when I put a dimension there, it'll show up down here because both viewports are looking at the exact same model space objects. With this viewport active, I'll click the smart icon and I'll O-snap from there, and I forgot to change the layer, but will in a second. Okay. I'll hit escape to get out of the, I know it, need to get the circle slash for diameter. I'll get out of the dimensioning process by hitting escape. I'll select the dimension, I'll move it to the dimensions layer, and we'll nudge it down so that the circle slash we'll add here will not crash into the red. Notice it's in both views. Whoops. Okay, let's double click outside. There's my green triangle, or we're in paper space. Our hands are outside of the viewports. I'll come down now in either viewport, activate this one since I'm close. I'll double click Yeah, it's activated. I'll double click on this dimension. And nothing. There we go. Now that highlighting you see is not selecting that text. You can see a cursor faintly flashing to the left of the text. It's expecting me to put a symbol or new letters on. Now, I happen to remember that %% will produce the circle slash symbol here. And again, the cursor is to the left of the text. I'll right click, insert symbol. I want to insert the diameter symbol. I can just as easily type %%C. I want to show you how to insert symbol. By the way, experiment with this other. It'll open up fonts and you can copy paste and get all sorts of symbols. Where was I? Diameter. We'll click outside the dimension to complete the text window. Okay, we're still in active viewport. Double click outside the viewport. All right, where am I? Text edit. I'll hit escape to get out of the command. Double click outside. We're back to the blue triangle here in the lower left corner down there. I believe we perfectly matched the handout. I'll zoom out. The viewports are a little low because I got so much text here. Save our drawing. You might save it to something better than drawing one. I believe we are completely done with exercise 615. Oh, I forgot to change the gap spacing here. All right. Well, changing LT scale to something less than 1 would reduce the size of these gaps. But again, I'm thinking it's popular in industry to leave LT scale set to 1. Let's double click to get into temporary model space. I'll select every broken line. And we'll change the line type scale to something lower than 1, say 0.6. Maybe let's hit escape. That might be good. Okay, looks like I failed to catch these two. No, that's 0.6. Zoom in on the PDF. Okay, I think there's a gap here because on the handout, this is a single line instead of 2. All right, be that way. I'll join these two together with the join icon. We learned that in Introductory. Why did that not join? There's join. Select that, and that. And for good measure, I'll select everything that's vertical and hit enter. We got a gap there. I'm guessing I should go to a slightly lower. Sure everything is selected. It's a dashed line. Change it, say, to 0.5, enter, escape. That looks like it matches the handout. Almost. I got 3 gaps. Here I got 4 gaps. Yeah, 0.55 might be perfect. Oh, I lost a little gap here. Let's select this center line and change it to say 0.5. Escape. Okay, that's a little longer line, so it might be 0.6. I'm getting a little picky here. 0.6. Enter. Slightly lengthen that line. We'll call it good enough. Double click outside to leave it in paper space for the next operator that works on this drawing. That's it. I'll stop the recording.